Hi, guys. Welcome back to the Friar Talk podcast. We're going to start things off with something a little different this time. We're going to start by talking about like the minor league system and the prospects. We're going to try to do this in a weekly episodes. If it does well, hopefully you guys like it. Isaac, who do you want to start off with?
I think the most important one that we could all talk about, aside from another guy that's a middle infielder, we all want to hear about. We all want to talk about Mackenzie Gore. Not very good news regarding Mackenzie Gore. Still a lot of faith in him in the Padres organization. He's still a top two prospect. I think we can safely say that CJ Abrams is probably taken over as the number one prospect in the organization, just because he has made rookie ball look very easy. He's made each level that he's played at look very easy. In spring training, he did do very well, especially considering that was his first really glimpse of major league action. But regarding Mackenzie Gore, he's pitched 6 games. He's 0-2. 5.85 ERA, only 20 innings pitched in those 6 games with only 18 strikeouts and a 1.8 WHIP. So, not very encouraging. Not very encouraging to see Adam Mackenzie Gore right now. He didn't have a very good start his last outing. He only pitched, I believe it was 1.1, 6 runs, only 2 earned, but he only threw 50% of his pitches as strikes. That is very concerning, especially because we see. I don't know what Blake Snell's percentage is, but he kind of struggles with command in the zone as well. Luckily, Mackenzie Gore's still young, still has time to grow. Hopefully, we see improvement with him throughout the rest of the season. We could definitely say COVID, not being able to pitch in live action games these past up until this year probably did affect him because he did look really good up until now. But he's got time to tune up, get in the zone, get out of his head. I could definitely say that there's something wrong with him mentally. I haven't seen him pitch, but when you're only throwing 50% strikes, I would say you're lacking confidence, especially considering you have the talent that Mackenzie Gore has. But that's really all I can say about him. Just struggling right now. Hopefully he tunes it up in the future.
Yeah, and we're talking about this as we know the outing was. Maybe if the defense does play better, we're not having this conversation. Maybe he does have a lot better of a start, and maybe he doesn't, throw 50% of his pitches for balls. A few things could change that outing to be something a lot better than it was. But as of right now, Gore has struggled a lot with his command. It's been very shaky at best. So, but getting on to another pitcher, Anderson Espinoza is slowly working his way back from Tommy John. He currently, or yesterday, he threw 3 innings, 3 hits, 3 earned runs, 3 walks, and 3 strikeouts. Which when you're looking at his stats, you can be like, "Wow, this is discouraging." But when you look more at his story of what he's come through and overcome, you're like, this guy came back from a Tommy John, and after he got his Tommy John, he's working his way back, and then hits a bump in his rehab, and then has to get another Tommy John, and he hasn't really thrown the ball in I think 3 years. So this is his first live action in 3 years in his first season at that. So, it's really encouraging to see him, start to go longer in length. It does seem like the Padres want him to be a starter in the future, which I love. I've been really high on Anderson Espinoza ever since we got him from the Red Sox, just because of people compared him to Pedro Martinez, and his stuff really plays. We saw it in spring training that he went his 1 inning, didn't strike anybody out, but his stuff plays at the major league level. I wouldn't say major league level, but his stuff plays in the game. And Isaac, do you want to talk about Weathers next?
Well, I mean, we could definitely talk about Weathers. We know what to expect from Weathers. He's looked like an absolute stud this year, even in the major league level. I don't know what his stat line looked like in his start today. Chase, I'll let you touch up on that. But regarding Ryan Weathers, he got called up before Mackenzie Gore, and I thought that was kind of like a warning sign that, maybe Mac isn't ready. But it's just more, the talent for Ryan Weathers is there. He can go deep into ball games. They just don't really let him. He did have that one game he came out with a dead arm. So, 5-6 innings is usually pretty good for him. I remember Eric Lauer used to be our Dodger killer. He was a lefty. Ryan Weathers is kind of like our new lefty Dodger killer. He looks really good out there, consistently pumping strikes. He's around the zone, has good stuff. And he really shows that he can compete at the major league level. And I definitely think he's a 2 or 3 starter in this league in the future. Very talented player. Very excited to see what he has in store for us in the future. Very excited to see him come back. I don't think there's a doubt in anyone's mind. He's going to be back up on the major league roster soon. Probably as a long reliever, I'd love to see him be a long reliever, kind of in that Hader role that we've talked about before. But Chase, I don't know what his stats look like. What did they look like yesterday?
So they were 5 innings pitched, 4 hits, 6 strikeouts, and 0 earned runs, which, I mean, considering what he's done at the major league level, this shouldn't come as any surprise to us. But the fact that they let him go 5 innings is like, hey, you know what? He's going to be that long reliever. And if maybe someone doesn't step up on the mound, Snell, he might take his spot, because 5 innings is a lot for a long reliever. That's someone that you want to keep as a starter. So they're keeping him stretched out for something, and you know what? Hopefully it works out for us in the end. Getting into our hitters, Isaac, who do you want to start off with?
Definitely want to talk about CJ Abrams. I love CJ Abrams. I've talked about how maybe he can have maybe not like a Tatis explosion onto the scene, but he could definitely have that kind of star status. We think of Trent Grisham as an underrated star in this league. Maybe CJ Abrams can be the same thing, but maybe a little more hyped up. But the thing is, there's just not really anywhere to plug him in right now. Tommy Pham's playing some great baseball right now. Trent Grisham's playing great baseball always, I think. Will Myers getting hot. Hosmer, I don't think anyone wants him. Cronenworth, he's hot. Tatis, the superstar. Machado, star. So there's not really anywhere to plug him in right now. But, it's noteworthy. He's batting .296. 362 on base percentage, 415 slugging percentage, 777 OPS. So he does look really good. Like I've said, he's made all levels of pro ball look pretty easy. Just an overall, he's going to be a great asset to us. I could promise everyone that. He's going to be an amazing hitter. Whether, to me, he's more of a contact hitter, but he can definitely hit for some power. Great speed. I mean, I haven't seen him run very much, but you could definitely say he's almost as fast as Tatis, if not faster. But he's going to be an amazing ball player for us, and I'm really excited to see him in the future. Chase brought it up. He could force the Padres' hand here soon. There's just nowhere really to put him, but definitely next year, I expect to see CJ Abrams, and I expect him to explode onto the scene.
And we're not exaggerating when we say he might be better than Tatis. I don't know if you guys remember, or you remember it, Isaac, that triple that he had in spring training. So for those of you guys that did not watch that game or did not see the highlight, Abrams nailed a double into the left field, the right field gap. And by the time the ball finally came back into the outfield, he was already standing on third base practically. He was walking into third base by the time the second baseman got the ball back from the outfield. And it wasn't like it took the outfield that long to get to the ball. No, he's just that fast. And a player that I comp him to, because they're literally same height and same weight as listed, and we kind of got rid of him for Will Myers, and I was really salty about it. Trey Turner. We've seen what Trey Turner can do in this league. He hits 10 to 15 home runs a year, but he gets on base at a high clip. He gets a lot of hits, and man, does he run wild on the bases. And that would just be the perfect complementary piece to Tatis and Grisham at the top of the lineup. And this week, he's had a couple good games and one bad game. He went 4 for 5 in one of his earlier, I think it was June 18th. And the rest of them, he's just getting on base. We saw the 360 on base percentage. He's doing really well. Getting into our next guy, I want to talk about Robert Hassell. We saw him in spring training. We're like, okay, this kid definitely needs to go down to the minors and, get some seasoning, because he's not a finished product yet. He's coming around with the bat. He's hitting in the 270s right now, but he's getting on base a lot. He's showing his power. He's showing that he can play defense. He's just kind of proving it all at this point. What do you want to say about him, Isaac?
Well, right now on the single A level, it's really just Jordy Barley, Will Myers, Robert Hassell, and Joshua Mears are going up there, putting up some solid stats, putting up some decent numbers. Really just providing a spark on the offense for the Storm. But Robert Hassell, absolutely, top 5 prospect, I believe, for us. We drafted him kind of high because of his hit tools. He was one of the best pure hitters in the draft, and I believe people were saying he was one of the best pure hitters they've seen in a little while. Has an amazing swing, can hit for power. He's just a little raw right now because he hasn't really seen much major league action. Still very young. His estimated time of arrival, I believe, is 2023 or 2024. So he's still got some time. But right now on the minor league level, he's looking good. He's adapting to the game, playing some solid defense. Doing good at the plate. So that's very encouraging to see for Robert Hassell, a young player who we expect to maybe not be a star, but he's going to be a really good everyday player.
Speaking about another guy that he's been to the major league level, but kind of underperformed in a limited role. He never really got to get into that position because it's the catching position, and Padres are very reluctant to give him the starting role. Campusano has lately been killing it in AAA. He hit a home run a couple days ago. He was like 2 for 4, and then yesterday he was 1 for 1, a couple walks. He's hitting near 300, and he's playing some good defense. And if this continues, if Nola continues to be out with, I believe it was a knee injury, Campusano might just force his hand and be like, "Hey, Rivas, you're just kind of a stopgap for me while I get my hot streak going, and now that spot's going to be mine." What do you think about that, Isaac?
Yeah, when Wester Rivas was called up, it was kind of a what the heck moment because Campy was not a good hitter in the major leagues by any means. I actually think that he did hit some balls kind of hard. He was getting base hits here and there. Maybe he was a little unlucky in the bigs, but other than that, didn't really provide much of the sparks to the offense. I definitely thought he'd be a better hitter than that. I'm still really high on him. I still think he's going to be a great player in the future. It's just his calling the game. He's definitely had some questionable games when it comes to calling the games. It seems like Blake Snell didn't like when he caught. It seems like Chris Paddock had a little bit of difficulty when he caught. So it's definitely a little rocky on that side of that side of the ball, the defensive side of the ball. But offensively, we've always known him to be a really good hitter. He's showed that throughout his minor league career. I think that's what he's kind of been praised as throughout his career, just a really good hitting catcher, which every team could use. Ours is Austin Nola right now, but I think our catcher of the future is still going to be Luis Campusano. He's doing a lot better lately. His numbers are showing that. And hopefully we see him soon because Webster Rivas, I think the only reason Webster Rivas was called up is because there might be a couple guys in the system that are familiar with him. I know Chris Paddock is supposed to be familiar with him, but hopefully we see Campy here soon.
All right, then we're going to just bring up 2 more people. They're going to be really quick. Reese Neer has been doing pretty well in his rookie season, or I wouldn't say rookie season, but in this season, he recently just went 5 innings with 2 earned runs. He had a good start. He hasn't really done anything more than that. He's had some really good starts where he hasn't given up any runs, but he sits right around like 5 innings, 2 earned runs per start from what I've seen. And then Reggie Lawson is now back from injury, kind of just been throwing a couple innings at a time. He only like 4, maybe 5 innings at this point. They're slowly working him way back like they're doing with Anderson Espinoza. But by the time that the end of the season hits, I'm expecting him to be stretched out and ready to go. Oh, one more guy that we haven't talked about, and just because it happened today, congrats to Mason Thompson for being called up. I can't wait to see what he's got. I know he's been used in the closer role where he was, so I don't know what that means for the bullpen, but he had shaky numbers at best. I don't know if you want to get into it. I know he had like a 5 ERA in the minor leagues. So what do you think about this move real quick, Isaac?
I mean, it's going to be important, especially when you consider, there's a couple guys in the bullpen that are throwing a lot of innings right now. We're going to need guys like Mason Thompson, Reese Neer to be able to come up, provide us some innings. Mason Thompson didn't throw any, but he probably will down the line, which I don't think they'd bring him up for no reason. He probably will end up throwing down the line. But hopefully he comes in, he provides a good solid couple innings for us, maybe 1 earned run. I'm not expecting anything great out of him. But it's definitely just a maintenance move, I think, to keep some of the better bullpen arms fresh. And I do think he'll probably pitch a couple innings here soon, and I think Reese Neal will have more of an impact down the line because he is throwing pretty good. So, yeah.
So then I got one more question. If Mason Thompson comes out and say he pitches against the Dodgers and he does really well, like both games he comes out, he strikes out a couple guys each. do you keep him on the team then, or do you still let him go down to the minor leagues when, okay, we need Weathers back now? Do you send him back down to the minors, or do you try to find someone else to send down? Or what do you think about if Mason Thompson outperforms everybody's expectations? What do you do with him then?
I don't really have anyone that they could possibly send down. Pagan isn't throwing very well recently, but he's not going to get sent down. We're not going to do anything about him. He's probably going to stay in the bullpen. Stammen has kind of been our long reliever. Pomeranz, haven't seen him in forever, but I don't know. Tough question. You have to see what happens down the line. If there's any injuries or anything, maybe somebody gets sent down. I don't know what's going to happen with that, but you know, Ryan Weathers has to be a priority, no matter how Mason Thompson is doing. If it takes sending him down to bring up Ryan Weathers, so be it. He has to be the priority in this really rotation of in arms that we're sending back and forth. But if he does good, much props to him, much confidence for him in the future. Nothing wrong with being sent down, even if you do good. A lot of props to him, and it'll be an encouraging thing for him to go down, and he'll have some confidence for the future as well.
All right.